The Silver Dollar Saloon reeked of stale tobacco and spilled whiskey, its air thick with smoke that clung like fog over a graveyard. Boone Carter slumped over the poker table, his weathered hat tipped low over bloodshot eyes. 3 days of hard drinking had hollowed him out, his beard matted with liquor and regret. To the other players, he was just another drunk cowboy, tossing away his last coins on a losing hand. Across the table sat Chen Ming, a Chinese merchant who owned half of Copper Ridge's businesses. His face was a mask of calm, but sweat beaded on his brow. Next to him stood Li Wei, a young woman in a faded blue dress, her dark hair braided tightly, her hands trembling despite her effort to hide it. "This hand decides everything," Chen Ming declared, his accent thick but his English sharp. "My debt to you, or she works in your service for a year." Boone's cards felt like lead in his hands, a full house, kings over tens, the best he'd drawn in weeks. He glanced at Li Wei, and their eyes locked for a fleeting moment. Something in her gaze stirred a memory he couldn't grasp, tightening his chest. The other players had folded, leaving just Boone and Chen Ming. The merchant's steady breathing betrayed his bluff. Boone had seen enough poker faces to know desperation when it flickered. "Call," Boone said, laying down his cards. Chen Ming's face collapsed as he revealed a pair of sevens, nothing more. The saloon went quiet, save for the crackle of the corner fireplace. Li Wei's shoulders sagged, her eyes closing as if bracing for a fate she'd long dreaded. Chen Ming stood, his chair scraping the floor. "She is yours now," he said, avoiding her gaze. "Her family's debt transfers to you." Boone stared at the cards, the weight of his win sinking in. He'd won a person, a human being, over 5 pieces of painted cardboard. The whiskey in his veins made it feel like a dream, distant and unreal. Li Wei stepped forward, her chin raised despite the tears threatening to spill. She leaned close, her whisper cutting through the haze, "The sun will rise again, even after the darkest night." The words hit Boone like a bullet. They were his mother's, spoken on her deathbed 20 years ago in a Colorado cabin. His hand shot out, grabbing Li Wei's wrist, not roughly, but with the desperation of a man clinging to a lifeline. The saloon faded as he searched her eyes for answers. "Where did you learn those words?" he rasped, barely audible over the murmurs of onlookers. Li Wei's eyes widened, a mix of recognition and fear. "We should talk somewhere private," she said softly, her English clearer than Chen Ming's. Boone released her, standing on unsteady legs. The shock had burned through the whiskey fog, leaving his mind sharp. He gathered his meager winnings, worn bills and a few silver coins, and led her through the saloon's batwing doors into the cool night. Copper Ridge's main street was quiet, save for a few cowboys hitching horses outside the general store. Oil lamps cast long shadows across the dusty road. "Boarding house is down the street," Boone said, his voice steadier than he felt. They walked in silence, Li Wei's tension palpable, like heat from a forge. At the boarding house, Boone paid for 2 rooms, ignoring the clerk's disapproving glance at a white man with a Chinese woman after dark. In Li Wei's room, lamplight revealed exhaustion etched into her face. "My name is Li Wei," she began. "And I knew your mother, Sarah Carter." Boone's legs nearly buckled. He gripped a chair, knuckles white. His mother had died in 1854, hundreds of miles away in Denver, far from any Chinese settlement. "That's impossible," he said, voice cracking. "She never left Colorado. She died when I was 15. Li Wei sat on the bed, her hands folded. "She didn't know me personally," she said carefully. "But her words saved my mother's life, and my mother passed them to me before she died 3 years ago." She took a deep breath. "My mother was a midwife in Silver Creek, a mining camp near your home. She helped deliver babies, including for a sick woman from back east, your mother." Boone sank into the chair, his mind racing. Silver Creek was 2 days' ride from his childhood home. His mother had mentioned a difficult birth, helped by a Chinese midwife. "Sarah Carter," Li Wei continued. "Brown hair, Green eyes, a crescent scar on her left hand from a cooking accident. Boone's breath caught. He'd traced that scar as a child during bedtime stories. Li Wei explained how his mother, dying after childbirth, made her midwife promise to pass those words to her son if he ever seemed lost. She knew you might need them, Li Wei said. She saw it in your father, he fell apart after she died. Boone turned to the window, staring at the stars. His reflection showed a man he barely recognized. Hollow, defeated. She was right, he admitted. I swore I'd never be like my father, but after losing my ranch to drought and rustlers, I found the bottle anyway. Li Wei's voice softened. She said you'd have to choose between staying lost or finding the light. The choice would come when you heard her words. Boone laughed bitterly. And now? I won you in a poker game. I can't even feed myself, let alone free you. Li Wei pulled a worn map from her dress, unfolding it to reveal Chinese and English markings. Chen Ming's been cheating families like mine, taking their businesses and children for debts that should have been paid. I know where he keeps his strongbox, and the combination. Boone's heart pounded. You want to rob him? Take back what's stolen, she corrected. For my family and others. She pointed to the map's edges, marking 7 families trapped by Chen Ming's schemes. Boone studied her, seeing the same resolve his mother had shown. This wasn't just about money. It was about justice. Even if we get it, Boone said, he'll find another way to control them. Li Wei smiled fiercely, pulling a bundle of letters from under a washbasin. These prove he's been inflating debts and forcing illegal contracts. The territorial judge would lock him up. Boone scanned the letters, their damning evidence clear. Why me? He asked. Your mother believed you were good, Li Wei said. She knew you'd remember who you are. The next evening, Boone stayed sober, his hands trembling without whiskey. Li Wei met him behind the boarding house, dressed in dark clothing, her hair tied back. They moved through Copper Ridge's alleys, avoiding the main street's lamplight. Chen Ming's house loomed on a hill, its back door hidden behind dead vines. Li Wei produced a key, she'd once cleaned the house before being wagered in poker. Inside, the air smelled of incense and tobacco. Li Wei led him to a study, lifting a painting to reveal a safe. His daughter's birthday, she whispered, working the combination, April 15, 61. The safe clicked open, revealing papers, coin bags, and a portfolio. Enough to pay back every family, Li Wei said, her voice tight. Boone watched the street from the window, spotting movement. Chen Ming was returning with 2 men, moving fast. We need to go, Boone hissed, grabbing the portfolio. Li Wei stuffed papers and coins into a cloth bag. Voices echoed as Chen Ming stormed into the house, shouting in Chinese. The stable, Li Wei whispered. There's a root cellar. They slipped out, reaching a storm door behind the stable. The cellar was cramped, smelling of earth. They sat in darkness, Chen Ming's men searching above. Li Wei's voice broke the silence. The letters don't just prove fraud. He's been selling people, children, workers, to mining camps and railroads. Boone's blood froze. Human trafficking meant a noose. That's why he's back, Li Wei said. He knows I have the letters. He won't let us leave alive. We can't stay, Boone said. There's a stagecoach to Denver at dawn. We get the letters to the marshal. And the money? Li Wei asked. To the families first, Boone insisted. Your mother didn't teach me those words just to save myself. Li Wei nodded, emotion in her eyes. The Wong family's 3 blocks away. They'll distribute it. They waited until the search quieted, then crept out, moving through shadows to the Wong house. Boone felt his mother's words guiding him, the sun will rise again. For the first time in 20 years, he believed it.